Hi, I'm Meryl, and this is my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the MSP channel. And now fasten your seatbelts and let's get to it. I was born into a very rich family. It's hard to find the right word to describe how rich exactly. Basically into a family of multi-billionaires. My parents' moralizing or nitpicking weren't a problem for me at all, unlike in the regular families. To be honest, I saw my folks so rarely that my grandmother took me to live with her when I was a small child. My parents didn't even notice. And my grandma, a former opera star and a woman of fashion, even in her 70s, loved me very much and let me do anything I wanted. Simply put, my life was golden. I could afford any clothes and entertainment, and at school I was the most popular girl, so spoiled by attention and adoration that I thought I was allowed to do anything. When I was 12, my grandma put my name in the list of participants in a beauty contest final, where she was one of the judges. I'm not going to name the competition, not to raise a fuss in the press. I can only say that any girl who dreams of becoming an actress or a model wants to participate in this. So my sudden appearance among the contestants overshadowed the rest of the participants so much that all the jury members gave me a standing ovation, and Grandma was beaming with pride, yelling, "Baby, you're the best!" and telling the other judges that I was just like her and that I had a great future in show business ahead of me. Naturally, I won, and as a bonus, I got the Audience Choice Award at the end of the SMS voting. And it couldn't have been any other way. I was used to being the best in everything, the most popular, the most beautiful, and the richest. But you can imagine how crazy the judge's decision drove other participants, especially a girl named Shelley, who was going to get first place before I showed up. Honestly, I felt like she went nuts. Yeah, I get it. After all, I didn't go through the qualifying round with the rest of the contestants. I wasn't almost dying from fatigue at exhausting night rehearsals with them. I didn't clench my fist to the point of harming myself in anticipation of the results. I just enjoyed myself and the effect I had on other people. Right on the stage, Shelley had a meltdown during the awards ceremony. She attacked me and tried to tear the crown off my head. Several security guards even ran out from backstage to take away the girl who had lost it and was trying to scratch my face. It's not fair. I'm disappointed with the competition where the judges' relatives win. Rich, mediocre, dumb girls who just know someone in show business. This is so disgusting. Things like this undermine the credibility of both the jury members and the competition itself. Shelley screamed so loudly that everyone could hear her, even when she was taken backstage. A video of her meltdown had gone viral on social media, and I even had to close my Instagram page because an army of trolls started to write different nasty things under my post. Offensive words didn't bother me at all, but the feeling of guilt forced me to talk to my grandma. After all, other contestants, unlike me, worked long and hard to win that crown, even just to get into this prestigious competition. Granny, I think that the winner's crown should be given to another girl. It will be fair, I told Grandma. Meryl, my baby, what a kind heart you have. This confirms once again that you won for a reason. You really did win everyone's heart, both the jury and the audience. There's something extraordinary about you that leaves no one indifferent. Something that makes your eyes glow and makes other people keep their eyes on you. Natural charm and energy that's difficult to obtain. It's a gift. Appreciate it and take care of it, my grandma answered and hugged me tightly. But after this conversation, the judges introduced a number of prizes for the girl who were only a few points short of winning. They were rewarded with a trip to Paris and big checks that they could cash to buy top designer clothes. That girl Shelley, who caused all the social media hype, was also among the lucky ones. The video of her meltdown got several million views. The news about additional prizes calmed my conscience, but I was even more delighted when near my house I unexpectedly met Shelley. She was smiling sweetly and apologetically, and timidly invited me to get a cup of coffee in a cozy place nearby, and I couldn't say no. Meryl, honestly, I'm ashamed of my behavior on stage. Before the final, I was so worried I couldn't sleep for several nights, so I couldn't control my emotions, which resulted in that ugly meltdown. I watched it several times on Facebook, and it's so awful. and objectively, you were the best among us, although you didn't get into the final round on fair terms. I guess I was just terribly jealous of you at that moment," Shelley admitted and blushed to the ends of her hair. I didn't hold a grudge against her at all. On the contrary, Shelley's sincere confession of her feelings brought us closer. We opened up and chatted the whole day through, and the next day, I called her myself and offered to meet again. Since then, we've become best friends. Yeah, I know, we're so different. She's a hardworking nerd who is diligently working on her grades to get a small scholarship because her parents couldn't pay for her studying at a good school. And me, a spoiled girl, an absolute slacker who studied at the most prestigious educational institution in the state and was throwing money left and right. We complemented each other perfectly and supported each other in everything. Shelley helped me with my homework, and I was a cash machine. I paid for our entertainment and always bought the things my friend really wanted but couldn't afford. It might have looked strange from the outside, but I didn't mind at all. In 10th grade, I persuaded my grandma to pay for Shelley's education in the private school I studied in. Come on, Granny. Shelley is very capable and a talented girl. Can you imagine what prospects will open up for her if we help her? Imagine what an investment in her future it is. And it's nothing for us. And why not do good deeds when we absolutely can? Shelley deserves it. I persuaded my grandmother, and she, of course, gave in. So in the new academic year, Shelley and I didn't part even at school, and I sat at the same desk. And one time, during lunch in the school cafeteria, we noticed a handsome guy heading toward us, and my friend blushed and hit me painfully with her elbow. Psst, it's Buddy, the guy I told you about. My heart is beating so fast I'm about to faint, Shelley whispered, breathing convulsively. It looked like a piece of bacon got stuck in her throat. I handed her my glass of pumpkin juice and took her hand to support her. Buddy sat down at our table and said, stuttering nervously, I like you so much. I really want to go on a date with will you go on a date with me? Will you? The guy finished his speech with a trembling voice and exhaled loudly, as if he'd let go of some very heavy weight or run a 1,000-mile marathon. Shelley lit up with happiness, blushed even more, and without hesitation answered, "Oh, Buddy, I'm so happy. I really, really like you now for a long time. Of course, I'd love to go on a date with you." Buddy's eyes opened wide in surprise, and he said smoothly this time, "Actually, I was inviting Meryl." At that moment, Shelley was taking a sip of pumpkin juice. What she had heard stunned her so much that she coughed and choked. A fountain of juice splashed from her mouth. It covered not only her dress, but also the face and white t-shirt of her crush, who was sitting in front of her. Shelley jumped up and ran to the toilet, and I myself was shocked by the scene. Probably my friend was wildly ashamed and embarrassed that she opened up about her feelings, and even more so because they were unwanted. Meanwhile, Buddy repeated his question, wiping his face with a napkin. At that moment, I was so offended for my friend that I decided to take revenge on this guy. "Buddy, my good man, I'd love to, but I only like bald guys," I replied. At the same time, I looked pointedly at his luscious and thick hair. He suddenly became very sad and drooped his head. Then he got up from the table with decision and ran out of the cafeteria. So I was finishing my lunch all alone and almost choked when after a while I saw him rapidly coming back. But in just 15 minutes, Buddy had transformed beyond recognition. To please me, he'd shaved his head. He looked pathetic and shorter. I froze for a moment with a fork at my mouth, and then I began to laugh hysterically. Not because I wanted my laughter to totally destroy the guy who was in love with me, but simply because the situation was absurdly ridiculous. I thought Buddy knew right away it was a joke, and it turned out… Yeah, he got the joke, but unfortunately, only after he'd vandalized his hair. At that moment, he turned white and ran out of the cafeteria to the jeers and hoots of everyone present. News of the incident spread throughout the school. Everyone thought my joke was a nice prank, but Shelley, she called me heartless, spoiled, and insensitive. And then she stopped answering my calls. The most interesting thing was that I pranked Buddy to avenge my friend, and I turned out to be guilty. But after a few days, Shelley warmed up and spoke to me. "Meryl, I realize that you're spoiled and selfish. You don't care what other people feel, but you're my friend and I love you very much." "I care what you feel," I replied and hugged Shelley tightly. That day, my friend invited me to her house for dinner to celebrate our reconciliation. When I sat down at the table with Shelley's family, I felt a look that literally burned me. It was Shelley's older brother. His name was James, and he was already in college. That evening, I was silent, blushed, and kept staring at my plate. It was so unlike me. The same thing was happening to James. My smart friend immediately knew that something was wrong with us, and after dinner, she told me, "Meryl, I swear by our friendship that you'll never even come close to James. You're so spoiled with attention that you ruin the lives of all the guys who fall in love with you. I don't want that to happen to my brother." "But I started stammering. "Swear it." Shelley kept pushing. "Okay, I promise," I answered, and at that moment I felt like the sun had gone dark. Imagine how fast my heart was beating when that evening I came home and got a message from an unknown number, and it was James, who was waiting for me at a cafe nearby. Without giving myself time to think about what had happened, I got dressed, and within a few moments, I was sitting at a table across from Shelley's brother. He was brief and said that he was experiencing such a strong feeling for the first time in his life, and he wanted to be with me. "James, I feel the same way, but I swore to Shelley that you and I would never be together. She thinks I will break your heart, and I can't betray my friend." I answered his confession and burst into tears. "Meryl, I'm a big boy, and I get to decide whom to trust with my heart, and I don't need my sister's permission to do it," James said. At that moment, we saw Shelley. She was standing at the door and seemed to be smoking with anger. Then she ran to our table, grabbed my coffee, and wanted to splash the hot drink in my face. But James grabbed her hand just in time. "How dare you, you traitor!" Shelley screamed. It seemed like it was the same uncontrollable meltdown that happened to her at the beauty contest. Friendship or love? What do you think is more important? A friend who's been with me for so long? Or the guy with whom I feel like the happiest girl in the world? Who would you choose? And on Monday, James was waiting for me outside the school. And before I had time to say anything, he grabbed me in his arms like a feather, began to spin me around, and said the words that stung me with happiness. "Shelley is okay with us." And then he carefully put me on the ground and kissed me gently. And fireworks went off in my soul.